All right, welcome back. And this is the module for the basics for the detached accessory dwelling units for Kitsap County, the ADU wizard course for Kitsap County. And this is the detached accessory dwelling unit section. We're going to just keep going on with the same example that we used for the parcel search and the attached ADU code in the previous module. And we're just going to jump right into the detached code. You probably have your parcel search up. There's the parcel that we've been working with. We have the land location and we know the zone. And we're just going to go straight to the detached ADU code section. Real quick, let's take a look at the definition of what that means. It's 17.110.020. Accessory dwelling unit detached means a separate dwelling unit that does not meet the definition of the attached one. Accessory dwelling unit attached to no mobile home or recreational vehicle shall be considered an accessory dwelling unit. This definition excludes guest houses. Okay, so that's the definition of a detached accessory dwelling unit. And of course, then we still also need to look at the categorical use standards to make sure that your project is meeting those specific definitions of the code so that you can actually get your permit in a more timely manner. One thing I do want to emphasize in this part again, we went over it in the first section, as accessory dwelling units attached are outright permitted in this zone that we're working with, as an example, the rural protection zone. And detached accessory dwelling units in rural zones are conditional permits. Conditional permits do go before the hearing examiner. You do need 2 permits for detached accessory dwelling units in rural areas: the conditional land use and the building permit. The conditional land use does have to be issued prior to the building permit will be allowed. Check with the county to find out how long those conditional permits are taking currently. Depends on the hearing examiner schedule and how many things they already have scheduled out. So could be 8 months, maybe more, just to get the conditional use permit. Just be aware of that when you're going into your project for your accessory dwelling unit. Get in communication with the county to find out exactly what that process is going to look like for you and your application. So let's get into the categorical use standards for the detached accessory dwelling units in Kitsap County. Let's go right to it. It's going to be 17.415.015B. Okay, and we're just going to go right down the line and get to it. Again, also, I'll link this in the description here, and then also we'll go over the flyers. Well, I'll have another link because there's information about the detached one as well. Okay. In order to encourage provisions for affordable housing and accessory dwelling unit detached located outside an urban growth area shall meet the following criteria. Again, it shall meet the following criteria. So all of this criteria, as far as I know, needs to be met in order for it to be conditionally allowed. You may want to talk with the county if you think you have some sort of extenuating circumstance that you need to navigate. But generally speaking, all of these criteria need to be met. 1. Only one ADU shall be allowed per lot. 2. Owner of the property must reside in either the primary residence or the ADU. Basically, that means you can't have a house and an ADU and then move to wherever and rent both of them out. The owner must occupy the primary residence or the ADU. 3. The ADU shall not exceed 50% of the square footage of the habitable area of the primary residence, or 900 square feet, whatever is smaller. Again, the dimensions are determined by the interior measurements. Okay, so this again is going to come into play. You're going to need to know the square footage, or at least what the assessor says your square footage is, to determine if that's 900 or 50%, whatever smaller. 4. The ADU shall be located within 150 feet of the primary residence, or shall be the conversion of an existing detached structure, like a garage. So what does this mean? So this means if you're building a new structure that's going to be your detached accessory dwelling unit, it has to be no further than 150 feet from the primary residence. Okay. The whole ADU does not need to be inside of that 150 foot but a portion of the ADU has to be inside at least 150 feet from the primary residence, no more than. Okay. Or the conversion of existing detached structure. Now, if you have a lot of time and you want to go this route, you could build a garage that's over 150 feet away from your primary house. And then after that legally permitted structure of a garage is done, decide that you want to convert it to an accessory dwelling unit. And you could. Then you wouldn't be held to the 150-foot mark. You'd still need to meet all the other criteria, though, including the conditional use permit, because you're changing the use of the structure from a garage or something else to an accessory dwelling unit. You'd still need to get that conditional use permit as well. But you're just adding time there because you're building a structure and then waiting for that to be done and then converting it. And then you have to wait for that conditional land use permit. But if that suits your needs for your project, that might be an option. 5. The ADU shall be designed to maintain the appearance of the primary residence. As far as I know, you could have a similar style, similar roof slope, similar paint palette, color scheme. I think basically what they want is just not any future looking buildings mixed in with some other areas that are not that, right? Keeping the theme of the area. 6. All setback requirements for the zone in which the ADU is located shall apply. Just like in the section for attached ADU codes, I'll go over it again here. In this quick reference page, at the bottom, you'll see density, dimensions, and design, and you can expand that and see all the requirements for the zone. Width and depth, don't really need to worry about that. You're not creating a parcel, but there's the setbacks. And then, of course, again, footnote 42B applies. So any lot of record that has not the width or depth of, in this case, 140 feet, or is less than 1 acre, can use reduced setbacks. And typically what those are would be 20 feet from the front, 10 feet from the rear, and 5 foot from the side. And again, the front is generally where access is received to the parcel. Let's see. The 7. The ADU shall meet the applicable health district standards for water and sewage disposal. Again, just like for the other sections, you got to work with the Kitsap Health District. They're going to need to review your plans and give you an approval letter that you will use as part of your application for your conditional land use permit and your building permit for your detached accessory dwelling unit. You got to get that first. Again, if you apply for these permits and you don't have that health clearance from the Kitsap Health District, they're probably going to return the permit to you and ask you to get that, supply that for them. Okay. 8. No mobile homes or recreational vehicles shall be allowed as an ADU. Now, you can use manufactured homes, right? They just have to meet all the criteria for the size and all that. 9. An ADU shall use the same side street entrance as the primary residence and shall provide additional off-street parking. So you got to use the same driveway. You can't have a second driveway. And you have to show on your site plan that you submit for your permits, all of your permits and all of the site plans should match both for the conditional land use permit and the building permit. The site plan should match. And that parking, the scale should match, of course. And the parking needs to be called out on it, the 9x20 parking spot for the accessory dwelling unit. And 10, an ADU is not permitted on the same lot where attached accessory dwelling unit attached exists. Again, so in the rural area, an ADU detached is not allowed in this area in the same parcel as the attached one. Again, it goes right back up to the first point here. Only one ADU shall be allowed per lot. And then 11 goes into the existing unpermitted ADUs, which we're not going to cover in this module. I will say, though, that if you do have or suspect you have an existing unpermitted accessory dwelling unit on your parcel, to work with the county, and they can help you get through that process. So the detached one's pretty straightforward. The code is right there. I'll put that link in the description for you. I'll also put the link to the flyer here for the detached ones. Really, it's just pretty straightforward, and you really want to make sure you hit all these points because it is really shall meet the following criteria. you got to show to the county on your permits and your applications, and make sure everything matches, that you do meet all these, and you meet all the points of the code, so that way you can get your conditional land use permit and your building permit to begin construction of your detached accessory dwelling unit. And that's it. I know it's kind of seems pretty simple, but that's kind of straightforward how it goes. And we'll see you in the next section, where we're going to talk about special circumstances, particularly critical areas and shorelines.